So there are a couple of things that I think one has to recognize out of what Mark has been able to show us. The first thing is, this is an essential skill for any CMO. Whether you've been in this position or been in a senior position in an executive staff for just a year or whether you've been there for decades, it really doesn't matter. You need to have developed, or you need to develop the skill set, because you are going to see this potentially one, two, or even many times in your career. They can be used to prepare for the future. As Mark said, it's very important that anybody in a position like this understands how to anticipate it, understands what to go through, and has basically a very simplified rule book to be able to address this. And it really doesn't matter what the economic shock is. It doesn't matter how deep the recession is. You still have to be prepared to be able to go through this. The other thing is that one of the things that I hear from many of my peers and many of my friends who are also in similar positions to myself is that they're constantly under fire from the sales organization, from the finance organization, because the role of marketing is so varied and so diverse. It becomes very difficult for people to really understand what the value of marketing is, and obviously that's a whole seminar in itself, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that right now. But there are a couple of golden rules, and this is something that you have to prove, and something that I've used in the past. There are a couple of things that are also worth pointing out here. It really is not about protecting your environment. It becomes very clear that one has to question who one's A team is. In other words, who are the people that you're actually working with to move an organization forward? And in many organizations, and really, and generally this happens in the larger the organization, the more tendency there is to think this way, is that one tends to think that one's own organization, one's own direct reporting line is one's A team, and therefore one should spend its time actually protecting that team. And that is probably the first mistake that I see people taking as they're trying to work their way through these issues. So the first thing to do is to very quickly assess who it is that you're going to be working with to actually help the organization that you work for, and I don't mean marketing, I mean the company that you work for, work its way out of this. And sometimes that is probably the most difficult assessment of both yourself and your organization that you're going to go through, for the simple reason that you may have brought people into your organization, you feel a sense of loyalty to them, but at the end of the day, your loyalty is almost certainly more to the rest of the executive team, therefore to the company and to your shareholders, than it is to your own marketing organization. The other piece is, it is about assessing your ability to thrive in this downturn. And there's a couple of key things that are always worth going through. There are three key assessments, and we'll go through them one at a time. The first assessment that I've always found the most valuable is to clearly follow some basic rules to define the people that are, to assess the people that are in your organization. Probably the first indicator of likely resistance to change and likely resistance to be able to cope with the changes that may be necessary in an organization is whether your people are actually defined by their budget or by their results.